folks. Grab a seat and pour your drink neat as Whiskers and Whiskeys presents Tales of the Trophies, the SEC's greatest rivalries. I'm Mike with EJ and special guest, Louisville alum, Louisville. Give it to us. What's up, Jimmy? How's it going, man?
Good. Thanks for having me on, guys. Love to bring my Louisville twang here with you guys to join you for today's episode.
I appreciate it, man. You got to have the good accent. I got Western PA covered. EJ's got Michigan covered. So there we go. We got a whole everything in that like Midwest region. We got a nice little sampling of it all. So there we go.
Yes, I'm very excited. I know, Mike, you were kind of saying before here that you don't got the juice quite yet, but I'm hoping that we can bring the juice to you because I'm feeling pretty good right now.
Yeah, it's kind of, I do have to work more after this, but mint is a stimulant. So there we go. I mean, it's, that should be fine. All the whiskey in it will probably get balanced out by the natural mint stimulation. So yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, that kind of hints at the drink. So I just realized we don't really ever do a great job. I mean, I guess you're clicking into the episode, so you should know what we're talking about, but we never really lead with what we're talking about. We kind of bury that for a few segments.
We're the Undertaker. We're famous for burying the lead. So
but today we are talking about I think an underrated rivalry, even though it shouldn't come to a surprise that in-state rivals are just like heated rivals. But today we're talking about the football game between Louisville Cardinals and Kentucky Wildcats. So what are we drinking today? Well, when I was thinking through this, So when I was thinking through what can we do? I had a really great idea. I had kind of told Mike this. I didn't tell you, Jimmy, but if we were able to do it together, I was thinking, because I mean, Kentucky, it has to be bourbon. Like, this is the perfect. I mean, this episode was made for our podcast. So I thought it'd be fun to do a blind taste test of different bourbons to see if we could taste, it would be able to call out. And maybe we can do that in the future. I think that would be really fun. But then it got me thinking, okay, well, I got to find a cocktail for Kentucky. And I mean, Mike, you misunderstood my text, and I'm glad we clarified it. But when we think about a cocktail, there's only one that just embodies Kentucky. And I mean, I know we're not talking about the right sport, but
right.
I mean, when we talk about Kentucky, it has to be the mint julep, right?
It has to be the mint julep. Well, I don't know. Yeah. Ask the Kentucky guy. Is it the mint julep when you think Kentucky, or?
So we don't want to get too offhand of what sport we're talking about, but the most prestigious sport in the United States falls on the first weekend in May, and that is the Kentucky Derby. And Churchill Downs serves beautiful, ice cold mint juleps. Not the greatest drink, but when you have it on a Saturday afternoon in the springtime, it hits you just right. And you know what? You guys are making me feel like I'm back home today, so it feels just right tonight.
Beautiful. I love that. Well, here, let's do a quick cheers. And
let's do a
get
cheers.
On with it.
Yes.
Cheers, boys.
Cheers.
To ya.
All right, guys. So the mint julep, very simple, pretty easy to go through.
Another sip there.
And as the people are going to watch on YouTube, I did have the pleasure of that. This drink is usually can be in a silver or pewter cup, a little commemorative cup, and I purchased them, got them for the other two guys here. We are in official julep cups here. But yeah, so the ingredients are pretty simple. So it's usually 8 to 10 mint leaves. And guys, I'm sorry, I'll get to what I put in mine because mine's a little different. So we might struggle at the end here. So 8 to 10 mint leaves, about a half ounce of simple syrup, or a sugar cube is another option there. 2.5 ounces of bourbon, crushed ice.
Has to be crushed ice. Yes.
So well, go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, and then a sprig of mint as a little garnish, and then it's typically served in a silver or a pewter goblet cup, which I will talk about a little bit later.
So you were talking about the mint, and you said you kind of screwed up. What would you put, bay leaves or oregano in it? What'd you do? Or fresh basil?
Yeah, no. So I didn't mess up per se, but I think my recipe is a little different. So I'll get into the variation that I use that I think you guys will appreciate. I will say though, crushed ice is key here, and I definitely went to Chick-fil-A and bought a drink with an extra cup of ice so that I had the nice little turdlet ice cubes. I'll spill on my drink or on my
I almost I've been thinking about pulling the trigger on one of those like homemade Chick-fil-A ice cube makers for a while. I'm gonna do it when we finish the basement and I move my office down there, but
it's the best crushed ice. Best crushed ice.
Yeah, absolutely. I just threw mine in my Ninja blender, and it got more like shaved ice. Like it's more like like a Hawaiian Kona type of shaved ice type of thing.
Sure.
They got the job. I got some.
Yeah.
Okay, I tell you how I did my ice.
Yes.
Running late, coming from a restaurant. Couldn't find anything in the kitchen, so I went straight hammer to the hand and cracked some ice that way. So I went old school.
Hey, one of the videos I watched,
Karate Kid Part 2.
One of the videos I watched on how to make this, just because I wanted to see, because there is quite a bit of variation. This isn't the official Kentucky Derby recipe. I think they use honey, at least according to Good Morning America and the Woodford Reserve guy. Apparently they use honey, and then they put a little honeycomb on top of it with a garnish.
Garnish.
So it's a little different. So that's why I was anyway. I watched the video, and the guy crushed it himself. Yeah, because he's like, I don't have an ice machine, so he just crushed it himself like you.
Good old American right there.
Yes. So, guys, I actually have a ton to talk about this mint julep. This episode in particular is really jam-packed. I probably should have told you about this beforehand. So I'm going to try and speed through some of this stuff, but I think
after it.
We got a lot of good content, or I wouldn't include it.
I'm going to kick back and drink. So go for it.
Kick back and drink. So predating the Kentucky Derby, the handmade sterling silver cups have been coveted and collected by influential and powerful people since like the early 1800s. So that kind of gives you a little bit of why the goblet was created, a little bougie for a very
nice little
event.
memorabilia. People have been stealing glasses since it's a tale as old as time. Yeah.
Oldest time. Glasses, trophies,
whatever.
So the sleek and classic design associated with the silver cup is accredited to early master silversmiths Asa Blanchard of Lexington, Kentucky, and then brothers William and Archibald Cooper of Louisville. So they actually had two local people, or three technically local people that make these cups. And the two main styles of julep cups, one is with a beaded rim and the other showcasing beads. It says at the top, but I think that's the same thing. I think for us, we might have double dipped here.
Yeah, I think you got both.
I mean, so maybe there's a third style. Sure.
Oh, nice. So one only has the beads at the top, one only has at the bottom. You got the best of both worlds there.
Best of both worlds. So in 1908, I thought this was the best way. So I gave you the ingredients, but I didn't tell you the order in which to do it or how to do it. I think this article back in 1908 just still, survives the test of time. Let me tell you what it says here. So a 1908 Chicago Tribune article about the mint julep. Lexington's Samuel Judson told the reporter, so I guess a local person, Lexington said, and I quote, "Take a silver cup, always a silver cup, fill it with ice pulverized to the finest of snow, bruise one tender little leaf of mint and stick it in the ice, then dissolve a spoonful of sugar in about 3/4 of a Kentucky drink of good whiskey and let the fluid filter through the ice to the bottom of the cup. Shake the cup slowly until the coating of thick white frost forms on the outside.
I did
Trim
see that.
with mint and hand to an appreciative gentleman."
I like that. I like that.
Yeah, that needs to be written on my grave.
I could have done a little less mint. Like I feel like that the single sprig, but that's not doing a whole lot of anything. I did make sure I got the frosting on the outside of the glass. That was pretty easy. I wish I would have tried with the honey. That would have been interesting.
Yeah, I could tell mine tasted just a hair different, and I completely forgot about the honey. And then when you talked about the garnish, it is almost like a sugar cubed of just like a honey garnish. But yeah, that spring of mint is just really trying to hit your senses when you drink it, so it doesn't do a ton for you.
No, it's the muddling at the bottom that you have to get that mint flavor. Okay, so just to give you some origins here of the mint julep. I mean, this is just great history, guys. And if you don't like history, well, you can tune me out for about a minute.
F off, pal. F off.
So this comes from Chris Morris, who is Woodford Reserve's master distiller, and that is the bourbon of choice, which is actually the bourbon I had. I just happened to have some Woodford Reserve,
That's
and used it in mine.
1910. Cracked it open just for
Boom.
this occasion. I'm actually out of bourbon, so bourbon tasting would have been very poor for this
or we
episode.
would have been bringing more to the table than you.
Yeah, or I would have had to open stuff that I don't want to open right now. So
sure. So centuries ago, there was an Arabic drink called a julep or julep, made with water and rose petals. So the beverage had a delicate and refreshing scent that people thought would instantly enhance the quality of their lives. So in the Mediterranean,
effing rose petals,
right?
That throughout the day.
So in the Mediterranean, the indigenous mint is replaced with rose petals. And in this case, that's kind of where like the mint julep idea came, it rose in popularity. The drink itself got its first mention in print in 1803. It was described as a quotations dram of spirituous liquor that has mint in it, taken by Virginians in the morning.
Oh,
Okay, Virginians, not Kentuckians.
No, and Virginians, because
what do you guys call yourselves, Jimmy? Is it Kentuckians?
Kentuckians.
Kentuckians. There we go.
Yeah, so this drink actually started off, I think, like a lot of things back in the day, as medicinal. So people would drink it in the mornings, actually, right? So
curing what ails me, that's for damn sure.
Definitely. Henry Clay, who was a former U.S. senator from Kentucky, supposedly introduced the drink to, or reportedly, Washington, D.C. in 1850.
What were they called? The Warhawks? Henry Clay? Warhawks?
That's a high school out there in Kentucky.
I think that was his political affiliation was, well, you know what?
You can look it up while I finish this. Yeah, so apparently he made it popular in Washington, D.C. at the Round Robin Bar. And by some accounts, the bar at the Willard Hotel in downtown D.C. still uses Clay's recipe to this day.
Very cool.
And okay, you got us?
I was just going to say, Clay believed strongly that military force was the only option left to fight British imperiousness. The term warhawk was coined and now used in political circles to describe one who favors war as an ultimate resolution of a conflict.
Yes.
And they have a cigar, Henry Clay Warhawk cigar.
Interesting.
There you go.
I did not know that.
Boom.
Well, kind of sticking on the political train here, not a surprise, but these were a hit with U.S. presidents. So although the drink is generally thought to have hit its popular stride like in the 19th century, Andrew Jackson's earliest biographer, who is named James Parton, claims that in his book, that Old Hickory, we're drinking quantities of mint julep, while he and his acquaintances gambled on a cockfight in Nashville in 1795.
That's my guy. That's my guy, Old Hickory.
Yeah.
See, like, you know, Trump was known for his Diet Coke. Biden likes his ice cream. Like, why can't we get back to presidents like, you know, John Adams would drink like a gallon of hard cider for breakfast every morning? Like, or maybe it was just a pint, but either way, like, why don't we get back to that? Give me a president that's a binge drinker like the rest of us.
Or at least just openly admits it, right? Like,
yeah,
I need something for the people here.
Yeah, for the people, by the people.
All right,
I'm sure W was throwing at that.
So you're gonna love this. So Theodore Roosevelt slyly used mint juleps as an enticement to get his various cabinet members to play tennis with him. So, in fact, Teddy's advisors were sometimes referred to as the tennis cabinet, though one muses that the mint julep cabinet would have not been too entirely like offbeat.
These are all great people. Jackson, Teddy. Who's the other? Who'd you mention before this? I like him too. I forget.
Henry Clay.
Clay,
he wasn't the president.
Not Clay, but yeah. Okay. Anyways.
So let's see here. So post-match, players would be treated with the refreshing drink. while Teddy would laugh with glee as he ordered subsequent
Hell yeah.
rounds as needed.
Hell yeah.
So I will say that no true Kentuckian apparently would have tolerated Colonel Roosevelt's mint julep recipe simply because the president's steward used rye whiskey instead of bourbon.
Oh.
And also added a dash of brandy to it.
Brandy.
Yes.
She's a fine
So
girl.
I will
Support.
say something that was
Western
also kind of funny was Roosevelt had to defend himself once against a libelous editor written actually from Michigan. But the gist of it was that the editorial said that Teddy was a drunk who swore like a stevedore, which was an old like ship cargo loader. So like I say,
And that's a major diss back in the day.
Yeah,
Right.
but like, and like that's my response is, and so what?
Yeah, so he actually went all the way to Michigan to defend himself in court. And under
Hell
oath,
yeah.
and under oath, he said, and I quote, "There was a fine bed of mint at the White House. I may have drunk a half dozen mint juleps in a year."
I mean,
Now we know he drank more than
Yeah,
six,
no
but
way.
he said under oath that, we have mint, we have a fresh mint garden at the White House, and I may or may not have had a
gonna
couple.
not. Yeah, what do you want me to do with this?
What
Like,
else can you use mint for, really, besides mint juleps, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not
Yeah.
gonna not drink it. Yeah.
So then, boo, Calvin Coolidge.
He stinks.
Teddy won the suit. However, sad to say that President Coolidge, who himself was an advocate for temperance, especially during Prohibition, allowed some chickens to eat up the fresh bed of mint that
What a
was
motherfucker.
at
That is a dick move.
the White House during Teddy's tenure. Yeah, I know. So why don't I tell you the Rough Riders mint julep, which is the version that I made tonight. So
you son of! I'm gonna have to make another one now.
yes. So his ingredients were 10 to 12 fresh mint leaves muddled.
Oh, big mint guy. Okay.
Until it resembles paste is what the parentheses was, with a splash of water and a sugar cube. I just used simple syrup. 2 to 3 ounces of rye whiskey. I just did 3 ounces of bourbon. And then a 1/4 ounce of brandy, which I did add. And then a couple of sprigs of mint garnish. So I have.
How is it?
It's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Have you had a regular one before?
I
Or
have
is this-
not. No,
Okay, I wonder what the brandy does to it. Like, that seems like it's popular.
I taste mint and I taste whiskey, so I'm not sure.
A little sweetness there. A little sweetness.
It's supposed to be a sweet drink for sure.
Yeah. Well, she's
And if you
a
guys
fine girl
see it
too.
at the Kentucky Derby, it's almost like a snow cone of crushed ice that's on
Yes.
top of it. And
I didn't
So
have
I tr-
enough. I should have gotten a large cup from Chick-fil-A because I tried to
A large
pile it
farva?
up. Yeah.
I did pile it up, but then it just like melted by the time I got upstairs. So
That makes
it is
sense.
what it is.
Okay, and that leads us to just how it became the official drink for the Kentucky Derby. So according to Chris Goodlett, who is the Kentucky Derby Museum's director of curatorial and educational affairs, he says,
Use your words. Sound it out.
I know we have first time I've ever said out loud curatorial. So we have every reason to assume that juleps were a part of the first Kentucky Derby in 1875, as they were a popular drink in the state at the time. And he said they were just a part of racing culture, not just like the Derby itself. And then Goodlett shares how Meriwether Lewis Clark Jr., who founded Churchill Downs in 1875, supposedly grew mint behind the club. He also retells the local courier story of how a famous Polish actress, Helena Majewska, downed a large julep in 1877, meant for all of Clark's guests to share. And she liked it so much she asked him for 2 more.
Poles can drink, man. That's
Yeah,
the way it
Helena
goes.
wasn't messing around. So the mint julep became
yeah.
the Derby's official drink in 1939. But in 1938, Churchill Downs noticed that the patrons were decorated or taking the decorated water glasses home. So already way back in early days.
Oh, yeah.
So rather than fight the trend, the track just embraced it. And the following year, the Julep came in the first ever collectible cup. And
those glasses are awesome, by the way. Just everybody from Kentucky you can go to has the old school. They're great glasses.
Yeah, they look pretty cool. So today, the Mint Julep supports the booming bourbon industry. More than 10,000 bottles of Old Forester's Mint Julep ready-to-serve cocktail wound up in 120,000 glasses over an average Kentucky Derby weekend. So 120,000 in
Old Forester, baby.
And then the sister brand Woodford Reserve leases a commemorative Derby bottle each year. And then every April leading up to the race, distilleries and bartenders across the state celebrate Mint Julep Month.
Love it.
Yeah.
There you go, guys. So that's the Mint Julep. That's what we're drinking today.
Yeah.
I know that was like probably the longest, explanation, but I just felt like there was a lot of history there. It needed to be said.
You said you have it Woodford, right? You use Woodford?
Yes.
That is the official bourbon sponsor of Kentucky Derby. So I'm not sure if that's what they're making their Mint Juleps out of, or
yeah, I guess so. It looks like Old Forester makes a ready to serve cocktail. So I don't know if like maybe some of it is that.
They're owned by the same.
Right. That's what they said.
Yeah.
It was like a sister. So maybe they were just kind of, it's a technicality on whether.
No,
it's that,
I've seen Woodford. I think I saw the same Good Morning America special you did, where they did like the they did a giveaway for it too, like a golden cup giveaway, like where I don't know, you got like probably like Woodford for life or something for a year or something like that. So yeah, I did see it. I do remember the honey now that you mentioned that. So it's delicious. That I'm a sucker for Teddy.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean it really got me going. Really helped me take the edge off as I drank like this entire thing. In fact,
I will say I appreciate like, and maybe it's because I put 12 leaves in this cup. But I appreciate the fact that I didn't need like, and it was only a little bit of simple syrup, but like that it's just really whiskey, water, and mint leaves. So
don't need to do a whole lot, man.
No, and it tastes great.
Mike, when we were doing this, I thought there was 0% chance you would use simple syrup and you would just go straight bourbon and mint. So that's what I figured you had.
I wanted to be honest too. I threw some sugar. I threw sugar and water in there. So I wanted to be true to it. I wasn't gonna. Sure. But now on the second round, then we can. I don't have sugar and
all out.
Beer. Yeah,
all out. He's not going to ask the neighbor for sugar.
No,
he's
sure
fresh out.
Sure.
All right, guys. So why don't we recap last week's trophy, because last week was the first time that we were able to release an episode the week of the game, because a lot of these games are being played at the end of the year. So before we get into the Governor's Cup and hear more about the rivalry from Jimmy, why don't we talk through the Southwest Classic? And boy, we talked about it last week. It doesn't matter how the teams are ranked or how well they're playing at the time. That game is just always close, and this was a literal classic. I unfortunately didn't get to watch it live. I watched the highlights. No, baby's sick, so I missed a lot of college football and NFL yesterday. So yes, do you want to talk through it? I have some notes here, but do you just want to talk through
I
watched a hell of a game.
Yeah, I watched the first half and then like caught bits and pieces of the second half. So like 2.5 was the right number. So and even though we did pick Arkansas last week, but they covered, and good teams win, great teams cover. I didn't bet them though, because I went back and forth like a million times. I wanted a piece of it, but did you, Jimmy, did you bet it at all, or did you stay away?
I stayed away. I was with the Texas A&M fan though, so I was being heavily influenced. Shout out David.
We were on the Hogs.
I will say, I will say that the what we have to talk about is KJ and the dive for the end zone that just went, and that was one of those plays like where like not even the dive for the end zone, but afterwards we're just like, hand the ball off, and he did. and he was gone. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe that actually happened. Like, because there's so many times you're screaming at the TV, like, and I wasn't even for the Aggies, obviously. Fuck Jimbo. But I was screaming, I'm like, just hand the damn ball off. And he was gone.
I was afraid that there was, forward momentum, like early whistle type thing, but the refs let him play it out. And that was crazy.
The ref went to I don't know if he was going to, he was like reaching for his pants. I don't know if he was going to like try to throw the marker or whatever, but yeah, I mean, and then he just let him go. So
yeah, I mean, just to set it up for people that didn't get to catch this game. I mean, the Hogs start off hot. They go up 14-0 quick. Then A&M back in their own zone. Achane fast, boy, he's fast. Really flipped the field for them and at least got 7 on the board. And then right before half, Arkansas goes right back down the field, gets the goal line. I mean, a big play that really swung momentum. As you guys alluded to, the quarterback ran a draw, went to jump over the pile and fumbled right before the goal line.
Hold on. He went to jump from like the 4-yard
sure, yeah.
Like, way too far away.
Yeah. I mean, what are you doing, man? You're not Cam Newton.
Yeah, he lost. I mean, even if it was on the 1, he lost it pretty early on, like the ascension up over the pile, which is always a risky play because, like, more times than not, if you don't get high enough, like there's helmets and elbows and hands and faces, like it's really hard or easy to fumble in that case. So the Aggies scoop it up. Guy gets to about his own 20 and is kind of getting tackled, but his forward momentum hadn't stopped yet. And so he had his back to the defender in the direction he was going. So he lateraled it or handed it off backwards to his teammate, who then took it and ran it the rest of the way. And that they missed the extra point, but that got them at least within 1 right before half. And that was a huge swing, right? Like 7-6 point swing. Then Aggies go up early in the second half. But the Hogs pull within 2. So at this point, it's 23-21. They pull within 2, I think, early in the 4th, and then it got down to like the last kind of drive for Arkansas to try and win it down 2. They get all the way down the field, a couple of great throws by Jefferson, a couple of clutch runs, and they get within, I don't know how long the field goal was, maybe 30-ish yards, right? It wasn't too long. And it looks beautiful. And somehow, by an act of God, this dude hits the top of the goalpost. The top, which I believe is in if it goes across over the goalpost, but he nicks it just enough at the top and it dies, absolutely dies, and falls directly down. No good. I've never seen a kick like that before.
No,
I still don't know how it happened.
I will say, I thought so. Whenever the Hogs were up 14-0, I looked at the spread was 11.5. And I'm like, well, there's no way. Like A&M's for sure going to keep this close.
Sure.
But then I like talked myself out of it. I'm like, man, they paid for this draft class. Fuck these guys. Like they got no heart. They lost to App State at home. Midnight Yell's nothing but a cult. Like F them. I'm not.
So basically the Bama in you came out.
Well, I mean, yeah, it is. And at that point, though, I did realize I talked myself out of it. So, because I started swinging myself the other direction. I said, this is there's Hogs are stomping a mud hole and walking it dry. They're going to cover by 17. Like, no way. Like, this game's over. So then I just played off it and just started drinking more beer. So
Arkansas was moving the ball way too easily in the beginning of the game. They kind of went up tempo when they got to that goal line play, and I mean, I just thought if they kept, just doing their thing, that fumble really changed things. I mean,
would that have been it? Like, would that have been it? Like, if they score there, like, do the Aggies are just like, well, all right, guys, we got our big paychecks. Let's just pack it in, and we'll live to play another day.
Yeah, because I mean, Arkansas was playing good on defense too, right? Like Max Johnson really didn't have that great of a game, and beside a couple of big runs by Achane, but like, it's one of those ones. And like I said, the kick looked good. I couldn't believe it when I saw the highlight that it wasn't good. Like, it had to hit that goal post perfect to do what it did. Like any other spot, and that is either boinking in.
One would argue that should be more points. That should actually be like a 4-point field goal.
A lot harder to do.
Yeah. I mean, he kicked it. It looked good. It wasn't a shank. He got height on it. Like
maybe that'll be in the skills competition for the Pro Bowl.
Yeah, seriously. I don't think he could do it again. Like, I would love to see Justin Tucker try
that. Would actually, you know what? I might call Paid Manning, because that would be sweet. Instead of it's like in hockey, crossbars, you know, you have to hit the 2 posts in the crossbar.
Yeah.
On
1-on-1. That would actually be a cool skills competition. Is you have to hit the crossbar and the 2 posts for the field goal.
And then if you can get the top of the post, it's extra points.
That's a game breaker.
That's
like
that's it.
Jam. That's it. Yeah.
That's like Can Jam. You slot it and it's done.
Yes, exactly.
Game over.
I want to say one more thing about that game, though. I'm so impressed with, you know, when I saw Sam Pittman, I had to look up his name, the head coach of Arkansas, get that job. I was kind of like, you know, I know Brett Bielema, you know, hot name. And then this was like just kind of a change of pace, but I'm impressed with what he's doing for being like an older coach too. And I think he's doing a great job over at Arkansas. They haven't been as relevant or dangerous as they are now since.
I think that's the first time Brett Bielema and hot have been used in the same sentence, but other than like hot roast beef sandwich or something. But like, no, I agree, man. And Pittman, even after the win against Cincinnati, he gave him the old Kenny Pickett. He said, "We're gonna go have a couple cold ones, and then we're on to the next one." So I mean, I love, and that kind of brings me back to I love the feat. If you're not watching College Game Day, like, you should start tuning in, because they got McAfee on there now and he's electric. But the thing that I really love that they started doing this season, or maybe they like played around with it last year, but they're doing it every week this year, is having the coaches call in like live during like pregame warmups and stuff. And Pittman was the second coach that they did, because he was on with McAfee on his first week, and that was like just awesome. Like, getting to listen to these coaches like as they're on the field while the guys are warming up before the game. Like, it's such cool access to have, and it's it's super enjoyable, man.
Yeah, I do think they did that at least a little bit last year. The only reason I say that is because one stuck out to me was they interviewed Chip Kelly. And the only reason why it stuck out to me was because his game was like literally at 10:45 Eastern stand, and he was like, "Yeah, no, it's great, and hopefully people stay up for it." Like, he just made like a wise ass joke, because he's like, "Yeah, we're fucking playing and no one's gonna watch us," essentially. So that's the only reason why I remember Chip. That.
I will. I love me a good Pac-12 alumni. I actually didn't. I was at my in-laws this week, so I put a lot of money on the Huskies, and boy, did it pay off. But like, that was, everything else went wrong except for the Huskies. But well, not really. I was 13-13, but you know, juice and parlays.
Well, let's move on to the next section here. Pick them with the boys, guys. Like, I'm
on the board.
I'm on the board, and not only am I on the board, but I had texted you guys, because if I had won anything in the previous 3 weeks, I was playing the 2 Pac-12 home dogs, because I absolutely love them. But I knew I couldn't risk it, because I needed to just get on the board. It was just great. I went 2-1. Of course, you know, when I bet Michigan, they don't cover. But I at least nailed 2. I had the 2 Pac-12 home dogs that ended up working out. So it's just, my confidence is all-time high right now, guys. I'm finally on the board.
Good for you, buddy.
He's
Good
high.
for you.
It's great.
I was 1-2. Like I said, 13-13 on the Saturday, but like with parlays and the juice and all that stuff, ended up losing. But Washington really like saved I think I might just bet half units on the early games, because when the Pac-12 starts playing, that's when I start winning all my money. And man, Washington. Oh, and I have a hot tip. My cousin called me on Friday, and I missed his call. I was at my in-laws, so we were, you know, doing shit. And I saw my wife had a baby shower on Saturday, and I saw his girlfriend there. I was like, why Marcus call me? And she's like, he wanted you to bet Air Force. I'm like, well, I did, but like, why? And he's like, he's watched every time he watches Air Force, they cover. And they've just been cover machines for him. So yeah, I think I might start betting Air Force here and ride the train.
There's a Detroit sports radio guy that I listen to every day. He has like the 2 to 6 time slot in Detroit. But he does a separate podcast about betting, and he used to do it, and then he lost his co-host, so then he stopped for a couple of years until he found a new one to the podcast with. And that was one of his picks because I think we talked about this before. Like, I feel like the people that bet, the degenerates that bet on a weekly basis, by like a couple weeks in, by mid-season, you usually have a team, right? Like Western Kentucky was a team last year that I had a really good read on. And I feel like, Mike, you had like the Roadrunners was a one that you really loved and you felt good about. Well, his this year was Air Force. And that was one that he had said, like, from the get-go, like before this season even started, talking about like over-under win totals for them, because he's from New York and he loves the academies, even though obviously that one's in Colorado, but he really loves Army that's over there. But anyway, that was one that he loved that Friday night, and I almost placed it because when he finds a team like that, he's usually pretty spot on about like when to bet them. So
hold on a second. One completed pass for an 80-yard touchdown by the Air Force. I mean, that's a team I can get. You laughed at me in Iowa and how I bet the under 15 and a half
because that's miserable.
The fourth quarter. It was awesome. It was awesome. I'm gonna remember that for the rest of my life.
No, 63-61 was awesome.
Put that on my live bet 15 and a half point under before the fourth quarter, and it hit. Put that on my tombstone. No touchdowns.
So I will say though, so right now I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I think I remember because I typed them in. I think, Mike, you are at 7 wins. I think Doyle is behind you with 4. I think Joe is at 3. I think I am at, Nathan is at 3 as well. I am at 2, and then Chris is at 1.
Oh,
and
you put it in there, you little angel. I forgot.
Yes.
I didn't. I was
I
like,
got you.
I could do that. Yeah,
I got you.
Just the best.
I will say though, Jimmy, you bet on a regular basis and you listen on a regular basis.
Yeah. What the hell, dude?
Jump on board. This is free for you. Like, you beat us at the end of the year and you get something for free. If you lose, you get nothing. It doesn't matter.
Can you remind the listeners how to get on?
Yes. So please, if you want to join us in this pick'em with the boys, we send out our Saturday morning bets, 3 bets, and please use FanDuel because the lines do change pretty drastically depending on the sports book. So you can send it in as early as you want, but what we'll do is we'll verify it on the spot to make sure. So if you really love a team and you're confident,
send a screenshot, help us out.
Screenshot as well. But if you love a team early in the week and you're not worried about potential practice injuries or injuries, whatever, but you love the line, send it to us. But it's only spreads. Give us 3 games. And at the end of the year, if one of our guests beats, just wins. So it has to, you don't just beat one of us. You have to beat me, Joe, or Mike. You have to just win at the top of the 3 of us. If it's guests at the top, you don't have to beat the other guests. But if you beat the Whiskey and Whiskers boys, we will get you some personalized swag. So it's free to enter. Obviously, you're going to start off with 0 wins, but it's still very early on, right? We get 13 weeks of this. And it's not like any of us, Mike's doing well, but it's, he's had a couple, 1 week over, 1 week 1, like, so
it's him a few more mint juleps and you'll see how it
right. It's not out of reach. So just what you got to do is just send us on Instagram, just send us a message with your 3 picks that week. We'll verify it, keep track of it. It's fun. If you're going to bet anyway, show us that you're better than us, because you probably are.
Yeah, thank you for the information. And I just happened to see a really sweet trucker hat that I think you guys gave away not too long ago. So that may be, my kind of thing that I'm going for. So
all right. Well, you just got to beat us. All right, so why don't we get into the episode here? So today we are talking about the Governor's Cup, one of about 30 trophies called the Governor's Cup, played between in-state rivals of Louisville Cardinals and the Kentucky Wildcats. So before we get into this quickly, I have a rant of the week, but
Here we go.
I have a feeling though, this is going to be, I'm going to start this off, and I think our guest is gonna grab this rant and go with it.
I kind of think I know what you're going to say before you say it, but go ahead.
Yes, Jimmy, how do you say the city of the school, like of where you went to school?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were going somewhere else. All right.
Nope.
So Louisville.
And that's something weird that I don't know. I don't remember when I learned that, but it's something that I actively try not to do because, and I don't know if it's because of the Louisville Slugger, and that's where I've heard Louisville from, but almost everyone calls it Louisville. Does that bother you? Like, do you in your head, like, do you correct people when you hear it? And if you don't, do you want to? Or does it not bother you?
If I'm homegrown, I think I would itch at my skin hearing it. As an outsider that came in, I've adapted it, and there's no other way I'd rather say it. It doesn't completely bother me, but yeah, I'll make sure like I repeat, like they'll say it and then I'll say, oh, Louisville. And they'll, oh, sorry. Like peanut butter stuck to your mouth or something.
Yeah.
Mike, how did you say it? Like, or when did you realize, did you always think it was Louisville and then changed it? Or did you already know from the jump street that it was Louisville?
I guess, no, I mean, I always called it Louisville because I didn't grow up anywhere near the area. But then I worked with a guy who was actually a Kentucky Wildcat, and he would say Louisville.
Yeah.
So
interesting. Yeah. That always just kind of stuck with me is when you talk about this. And I think the first time I said it to you, Jimmy, you were like, yes. Or even like Marin was like, he said it right. Like,
yeah, you can really tell. I think, the people from even the whole state of Kentucky kind of, know when you're an outsider versus, somebody that's been there before. So I think it's our own little lingo as well. So we kind of, cool thing as well, but you're doing well, EJ.
And I will say, in case the listeners aren't aware of this, Oregon is Oregon. Like I remember hearing the Oregon Trail and Michigan. I think a lot of people say Oregon.
I've always said Oregon.
It's Oregon. And then another one is Colorado, which is actually apparently from someone that I went to college with that's from the area. It's Colorado is how they say it instead of Colorado.
Kiss my ass on that one.
Rado.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe she was messing with me, but that's what she says. So
I hope she was.
Probably. All right. So I just want to know. So without giving away what the trophy looks like, just can you explain to us what like the rivalry meant for you? And we'll stick with football for now. When you went to college there, like, is it a big deal? And from what I understand, it is.
Explain like the years you went to college too, so the listeners know like what the programs were like at that time.
Yeah. So I went to school at the University of Louisville. Represent my swag just in case YouTube needs to see it. From 2008 to 2012 was my undergrad, and then I actually stayed till 2014. The really cool part of it is, everybody from the outside, basketball, like you guys have a football rivalry. Like, what are you talking about? You guys don't. But in my time, there have, on both sides, and I'm not going to try to be too one-sided here, but on both sides, some very good players have come out of the rivalry that, just has made it really fun to watch for me. And from outside perspective, I think it gives it a little bit more national credit. It's never going to be, Alabama or Auburn, any Iron Bowl or anything like that. But it's really taken off. And the interesting part, EJ, when you asked me, and Mike, when you asked me about my time there, is really funny because I think it just built up to become a bigger rivalry where we used to start out. This used to be not the first game, but either like the second or third game of the year. So when you tell me what I remember about it, when I was an undergrad, this game was at like 12 or 1 or 2 in the afternoon in the summertime. So I remember being already pretty buzzed, getting towards hungover in a really hot football game at Papa John's Stadium. So that's how it started. But yeah, it's
So you attended the games in Louisville. Did you ever travel to Lexington?
I did not travel to Lexington. So the thing about the rivalry is Kentucky travels very well. Kentucky is a very on brand of, your New York Yankees. Most of these guys that live in or go to Kentucky will make their way towards Louisville, or they will either go to Louisville and still wear the Kentucky gear. So I'm not saying that I was like necessarily scared or anything. I liked being on my home ground at the time, but it's a very simple drive. 64 Interstate 64. You get right on there. It's about an hour and some change away, and you're right there. So,
okay. I was just going to say, I lived in San Francisco for a little bit, and I didn't really know anyone. So there was this one kind of touristy bar, because obviously I was essentially a tourist at that point, that I'd go to, and there was a group of Cougars, or you might as well call them Wildcats, that were on an annual girls trip. And so one of them approached me at the bar, and they were from Lexington, and it was like, she worked at the university hospital, and her dad was a professor there. And I don't know what I said, but she very much like put her finger to her nose when I mentioned Louisville. Like, it was just like the disgust. Like, I don't go to that part of the state. Like, it was like one of those things. And I was like, you know what? I feel that. Like, and not that I'm poo-pooing on Louisville, but the idea of like Michigan State, hate. Like, it just felt like that. The hate to a complete stranger that had no ties to Louisville. Like, it was, I could just feel the hate on this girls trip of these 40-year-olds, I'd guess, at the time.
Oh yeah, that you explain it 100% correctly. And it's the type of thing where if there's one piece of news about one school, that other school jumps all over it. Okay, Louisville. Okay, I brought my national championship hat from when it got, it's
revoked.
This hat, I can always keep this hat. Nobody's taking this hat away from me. But Kentucky jumped all over Pitino
and those girls, huh?
Yeah, and then recently came out, what was really funny, what Louisville jumped all over was Calipari comes out saying that this is the basketball school comment, and then
we talked about that.
Stoops fired back a little bit at it, and like Louisville's just sitting back, like, okay, you guys go after each other.
Exactly.
I mean, fuck the whole Hey, to do like Tupac on Hit 'Em Up. Fuck Mark Stoops, fuck Bob Stoops, fuck the whole Stoops family, and as a program and as an athletic organization. I hate him.
So as again, trying to be a non-biased perspective here, I agree with you, but I do respect what he's done. I mean, he's getting recruits. He's getting good
nothing
players.
but hate.
Yeah, no. And he's stealing recruits from Michigan. It's really annoying.
Yeah,
actually. Okay, so you've been to the 2 games or maybe 3 games while you were there, right? Because they all
and post, yeah, post graduation, yeah.
Yes.
Victory lap is what we call it in the biz. Victory lap.
Did Louisville beat Kentucky while you were there? I didn't look at the records there.
Yeah, so
while in Louisville, while you were at the game.
Okay, while I was at the game, not when I was initially an undergrad, but as we started to get closer to the Teddy B, Lamar Jackson years, that's when we went on a 5-game win streak, and that was kind of Kentucky. They had Randall Cobb, and that was like, Randall Cobb played quarterback and receiver. He was just all over the place, and I think that was the last time we lost until we went on that little 5-game streak. But yeah, so I did get some wins, and it was nice, and it was also nice watching it on TV in the sea of blue as well. They did beat Lamar Jackson one time though, and they loved that they beat Lamar Jackson. One time.
Oh my gosh. Hey, I mean, you're preaching to the choir. I mean, anytime, gosh, I mean, well, I mean, I have so many examples. Well, like as a Steelers fan, right? Like the Browns are just memeing their dicks off all over the fact that they beat us. I'm like, my man, hang a banner for it then. Like, come on.
Yeah, so I'm just going over the quick
Haters.
history real quick. So when I was there in 2009, that was my first year. We lost 31-27. That was in Kentucky, so I wasn't at that game. Then my first game we lost at home in 2010 that I was there. But then 2011, 2012, 2013, 2014, 2015, we ripped off 5 in a row, and that was the Teddy B and Lamar Jackson eras.
Okay,
That's a good era.
So then I got to ask you, did you see one? Do you know what the Governor's Cup looks like? And don't describe it, because I want to see if Mike can guess it before we get to it. And then 2, like, do you know what it looks like? I assume the answer is yes. And 2, have you seen it live? Like, did you see it on the field? Or did you stay late enough to see it? I guess
I've seen it. Yeah, I know what it looks like, and I've seen it on the field, and I did some stuff with the athletic department too. So, whenever you win it, you display that pretty front and center. So,
love
yes
it
to both. Yeah.
So you can go to campus when it is in the possession of Louisville and go to like the football like building or something and see it on display.
Yeah, so they've done a little bit of renovation since I was last there. So I don't know exactly what it is, but not just a typical person could walk in and see it, but that it's recruiting central. Sure. Obviously, you can see that and all that.
Because that's always a question that I have. Like I called Michigan State one time, and it was right after COVID 2021. Because when I was going to be up there, it was like perfect. Like I need to go take a picture of like the Paul Bunyan while I'm there, and whatever other trophy that we had at the time, maybe the old brass spittoon. And I believe they display them in the football building, but I think it's on display in the places that you can visit. Like obviously the rest of the building is like their training facility and stuff like that you don't have access to. But I think Michigan State has it to a point where you can, on a non-COVID situation, go up and see it in the glass display. So I'm curious to see how many colleges do that. I'm sure some don't, right? Some just keep it.
Well, let me tell you
internal.
From the other side, reading a few quotes while just doing a little bit of extra in-depth research about this rivalry. Yes. I can tell you Mr. Stoops likes to display it front and center for his people as well. Okay. So
again, fuck Bob Stoops. But I appreciate the research. Like this is maybe our first guest that did research. This is incredible.
Yes. Love it. Okay, I was trying to think of if there's anything else. So the only other thing I would say, again, like it seems like it's very heated, definitely heated in basketball and other sports. Do you what's your reaction? Like, do you have any, I guess, like, how should I ask this? Do you have any traditions for Kentucky week or anything like that? Like I know obviously you hear about like schools that don't wear each other's colors during that week or won't say the name. Is any of that prevalent for that, whether it's for the week or the entire year? And like 2, do you get like a very visceral reaction when you hear that someone's like a Kentucky grad or something like that? Like
so a lot of this is a wide open response, so I'll give you as much as I can here. But
no, I mean,
let the hate flow through.
Yes, this is your chance. Like, it's okay.
I had to
you
stop
can be
looking
biased
at you
here.
for a second.
We can start talking about Tennessee. I mean, I'll go.
But no, it is. There's no blue fans, no red fans. Not wearing blue is an obvious key. There's always cuck Kentucky, fuck or whatever, however you're gonna say it. But
that works. Yeah.
But no, in college it's huge. If you're at a tailgate, you're gonna be packing whichever place you're at. Post graduation and being outside of Louisville, my friend Kyle Cooper, I don't know if either of you met him, but we will grill out. It doesn't matter if the teams are unranked, but we do our own tailgate for this game. But yes, it is It's the biggest
I
game
love
on the
that.
schedule. We don't necessarily have a true ACC rivalry yet. When we were good, we were kind of getting in it with Clemson and Florida
Yeah.
State.
Mhm.
That still is a thing, but there's no, bigger game on the schedule. And, with the way things go, it seems to be where one team, like for instance, it's been Kentucky this past couple of years, who's either flirting with being ranked or who's ranked. And I think I just
Mhm.
saw Kentucky is like 10 now or 8 or something like that.
Bullshit.
Yeah, or ridiculous. But it's always a thing where you want to be that team that like is like, F you guys, you're going for a national championship run. Sorry about it. And that's kind of what they did that one year with Lamar Jackson. But last year, probably not a game that you guys focused on too much, but and I don't even really want to tell this because I don't even want your listeners to be doing this or thinking about this, but Kentucky Louisville likes to do their L's up. Kentucky likes to spin that around and do L's down.
Like the horns down.
Yes. And I hate that we even have that because you can see how much Texas is all over the screen every freaking Saturday.
Yeah.
You get flagged now.
Even Alabama did it. Saban was cussing them out.
I mean, this past Saturday, I mean, that was, you want to talk about the week that happened. Texas A&M fan ran over. I mean, Dana Beers from Barstool did his thing,
Texas
but
Tech,
then like some Texas Tech kid steamrolled a Texas player in the back.
Saw that. Oh yeah, just turned his back and caught.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy.
Double arm chucked him. I hope they caught that kid and beat the ever living fuck out of him because no one.
But
hey, all right. We're a Longhorn friendly
Michael.
podcast, but.
But yeah, that was when Will Levis, the mayo in his coffee, drinking full.
Psychopath
had a field day with it because he ran for I think 4 touchdowns that game and threw for another one. So that's the way you kind of can get under the skin. And Kentucky for the longest time, it was like we were always beating them in football. We went on that 5-year streak, and it was like, just wait till basketball season. But we finally have moved to the point where I think we're in 2 different seasons. And what's funny is you talk about the rivalry as a whole. It's like it even gets the best out of 3. Okay, we'll see you in baseball, and we'll see who wins baseball. Like that's where we get to.
So then is it always an annual non-conference basketball? I guess I've never really paid attention.
Oh yeah. They move around the times every now and then, but it's a CBS is it basketball little kiss off the rim. What's his face? Oh wait, this is a football podcast. Doesn't matter.
What, Dickie V?
Not the announcer that does. It's a little kiss, just a little kiss. I'll look it up just in a second. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. But it's always that CBS game that's pretty good. Sometimes we have bowl games that run over at the same time. But basketball games always right before conference play, and usually you'll have one of the 2 teams very highly ranked at that point. So
I will say just 2 things real quick. So number 1, Kentucky is number 7. But, however,
it's because they beat Florida.
However, they played the Lane Train this week. They got Ole Miss in Oxford.
6.5. I saw that.
6.5.
Yeah, I mean they still got to run through.
I'm taking the Rebels.
They still got to run through Georgia and Tennessee still. So I mean, there's still plenty of time for them to get.
They're gonna fall.
Bill Rafferty was the announcer I was talking about. Sorry.
Yes.
So Jimmy. One of my there's certain games that you always remember, and I like Texas is back. You always remember watching that live. I remember very distinctly watching Clemson, Louisville.
Mm-hmm. Lamar.
You're talking about James Quick running out of bounds.
Deshaun. I was like, that was like.
Can I say something real quick? In this rivalry, the one thing I will always take, and this is a little bit as you as a Michigan State fan, as you as an Alabama fan, since the college football playoff ranking little show comes out where they announced the top 6. Louisville, between Louisville and Kentucky, was one time number 4 on the playoffs. So we were technically in at one point.
Hey man, it's not all it's cracked out to be, because then you end up playing that Alabama and losing. Like
Yeah,
35 to
exactly.
nothing,
But yeah, I think I know which game you're talking about. I will always remember that game because that was the year that we could actually have been the ACC champion and playing, at least being the number 4. But
you guys gave them hell too. It's not even like it was like, oh,
that
look
was
at
a
this
great
cute
game.
team. It was
that
like,
was a great. I
this
mean,
was
that
it.
was a game where I'm like, they can just play forever because it
Right,
went
yeah.
to at least went to overtime, and then
Well,
I don't know if it went beyond. I forget if
No,
it was more than one.
It was. It was a 1-score game, and that last drive was us, I think, taking the lead, and I think Clemson just ran the rest of the clock out. But the crazy part about that was the week before, I believe, was College Game Day at Louisville, and that was the first time we had it. I was there. I was sitting in a suite thanks to my friend Riley, but that was the first time College Game Day had been in Louisville, and they actually had the guys over in the corner of the stadium. So I was up in the suite, I was looking, and I almost said Dickie V. We get the hat put on right before kickoff of the Louisville Cardinal, and Lamar, that was when I knew he was going to be the Heisman Trophy winner because he had the most ridiculous game. But one more thing about memorable games. I'm sorry. I just want to give a little bit more into the history of Louisville and Kentucky. Is I was not there for this, but I will be remorse to say this for the rest of the Louisville fan base. But one of the most memorable games and what kind of heated up this rivalry a little bit was, I believe it was Wesley Woodyard. Woodyard was the linebacker for Kentucky, but Louisville's other chance to be one historic team was when they opened up against Kentucky, and a Michael Bush, who had a chance to easily become a Heisman Trophy winner, had his ankle broke or something with his leg. I'm not exactly sure what the exact injury was, but that was when he went into the draft and fell so much. But there's a lot of Louisville fans, and you watch the video and it kind of looks like he pulls his leg a little bit, but that's another heated part of the rivalry. The huge story then was Michael Bush out for the rest of the year. And that was Brian Brom, Michael Bush, Harry Douglas. They had like the whole thing kind of set up with their 3-punch combo.
Well, that game that I was alluding to, I searched Louisville Clemson, the first Louisville. I'm trying to say it.
You're doing great.
Louisville. Thanks, pal. You're doing great, sweetie. Louisville Clemson 2016 automatically popped up. That was October 1st. This Saturday's game's October 1st. So maybe we're in for a little treat here. It's October 1st again. So that was a great game. I remember watching it being like, man, I wish these teams would play forever. So maybe we're in for a treat this Saturday with whatever the slate may be. You know, you get another.
It looks good.
Yeah. It does.
The slate looks good.
Yeah, it does.
Okay, is there anything else that comes to mind as we kind of put a little bow on this little segment here? Jimbo.
The last thing I'd like to say before you start to get into describing the trophy in itself is one big article that I saw that, and I'm going to turn this to you guys because I can just see your instant reactions. And this is what I was referring to earlier in the podcast, EJ, that I thought you were going to say was going to cause debate, but can this not be the Bourbon Bowl? Can we not just get a huge bottle of whatever it is and attach? Would it not make more sense than that? You know?
Absolutely.
Yes, and obviously a little bit of a spoiler there, Mike. It's not that. Just a little prelude, but I 100% agree. When I did my research, that kept coming up that it should just be called that. And just have, I mean, there's a million things it can be. I don't know if it's afraid to be too close to like the beer barrel if you do like a cask or something like that. But like you said, like there's a huge missed opportunity there.
But this rivalry was started in, I believe, 1922 was the year. And if you see, for a rivalry that was started in 1922, I believe the all-time series is 18-15 Kentucky. And what happened was Kentucky had the program and Louisville was building up. So it was like the scores in the first few years, like I think the last score was 72-0. So they stopped playing Louisville for a long time because it was like not a competitive game. And then for a while it was at Kentucky until they forced Louisville to build a new football stadium because they're like, there's not enough people here for our fans. But it's in 18-15, I think is the correct series record for it for a cup that has been going on since 1922.
Oh, EJ will have that information. EJ's
Oh,
like,
he's
you're
already
stealing
got
my
that?
shine
Okay.
right now.
Yeah,
I'm sure he's like, you're stealing my shine.
I was just gonna say, like he's just doing my job for me.
We have a new
it's
co-host
great.
now.
I know.
EJ will steal it here, pal. We're gonna
this
take the
guy's
rest
doing-
of the SEC here with me and Jimmy, and that'll be that.
This guy's doing the real research here.
No, it's I just thought that was like it's I don't even think Louisville fans really know that sometimes when you even like refer back to it, but the history of
Sure.
the bowl is just interesting in general. But the new age Louisville is winning the new. Were you going to say that? Okay, I'll let you go. I'll spin it over to you.
And I will say, I will say that's something that I need to do better about. I was just doing spoiler alert for our listeners here. I do a lot of this research ahead of time, so I don't have to do it on a weekly basis. And I was just finishing up I believe it's the Palmetto Bowl, and it was very similar where like I think I need to do a better job when I'm describing a series.
You need to do better.
I need to do a modern day because a lot of times some of these overall series, and I don't know if this is just maybe Michigan State falls in this category, where like one team dominated when like black people weren't allowed to play football, and
100%.
Those should probably be, there should be at least some context on like the modern day, rivalry and where the series is as far as wins and losses in modern day.
If you ever talk about basketball, please don't forget that with Kentucky.
Okay, so why don't we get into this rivalry? Although I will say
we're already in it. We're balls deep.
We're in it. There wasn't a ton talked about when it comes to this trophy, so I'm really glad we were able to get you on here, Jimmy, to give us a lot more context than I would be able to find open source. So a little fun fact here. This is one of 4 ACC and SEC in-state rivalries. We already talked about one this year in episode 1, and that was Georgia Tech. And the other ones that we will talk about later on in this season are Clemson, South Carolina, and Florida State. So, Jimmy, this isn't for you.
Okay.
Mike, what are your guesses to what this trophy looks like?
This right here.
This.
That's what it looks like.
The silver cup.
Yeah, that's it. That's my guess.
Actual size? Here?
I think like let's 20x the size, and yeah, it's filled with crushed ice and wonderful bourbon every year.
Okay, well we're I will get to that a little
I
bit
can
later.
dream.
We'll see what it looks like. It is not a bourbon bottle, unfortunately, as Jimmy has pointed out, but we'll get to that in a little bit here. So a little bit of the history of the rivalry. Jimmy already got a lot of this right. I will say the first matchup was in 1912, so you're off.
I knew it was a 2.
Yes,
sorry.
by 10 years. Kentucky won that game 41-0. And Kentucky would go on to win the first 7 matchups by a combined score of 240-14. So I think that's kind of what you were alluding to.
Doesn't count.
Yeah, no wonder you don't want those counted. That's like
then
Browns fans saying they have the most championships of all time. Yeah. Back when wasn't even the NFL. Go ahead.
And then in 1922, Kentucky won 73 to.
That was the year. Okay, that's the
yes.
year.
Okay. So though the teams first played in 1912, they only played 6 times until the rivalry was suspended after the 1924 season, as you talked about, and it wasn't renewed for another 70 years. So the rivalry resumed in 1994 with a new Governor's Cup trophy, which has been awarded every year since then. And then you were right. The series lead is Kentucky, 18-15. So even
if you don't count
the first 7, yes.
It is. Oh, I had this number written down. Keep going, and I'll give it to you.
I mean, if you the simple
Do you
math,
have it?
There's no. I was
Well,
just
it's
saying-
18-15. You don't count the first sevens. 15-11
15-11
in favor of the Cards. So.
Thank you for your quick math. My wife would be impressed.
Yeah. Well, every time we did what's the not jukebox the online games that we were playing, remember, that you can have on your computer that we're doing over the pandemic.
Yeah, I don't know the name of
Jackbox.
Oh yes.
There was one game that was math, and Mike and his wife Kara just killed all of us. Like, it was like, who can answer the most simple math without getting one wrong in the allotted time.
And
you
Marin
guys
played
smoked
too.
us.
So
Marin
she's
played.
she's the teacher of youth. So
Yeah, and she usually finishes in last.
Yeah.
For math.
Yeah, and Mike, she is a math teacher. I don't know if you know that. She is a math teacher.
Oh yeah, that's why I said it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I wasn't sure if you.
Yes.
Please
That's
skip
why I
this
got the
part,
dig in
sweetie.
there. Yeah.
All right. So from 1994 to 2006, the game was played on the opening weekend of college football season, like you had mentioned. And in 2007, the game was moved to the third game of the season when played in Lexington, but remained the first game when played in Louisville. And then starting in 2014, which marked Louisville's inaugural season in the ACC, the Governor's Cup became the last game of the regular season for both teams on Thanksgiving Day weekend, which coincides with the other ACC,
Let's go
SEC,
for turkey leg.
same state rivalries. So yes, this game will not be played this weekend. It will be played on rivalry weekend at the very end of the year. So we will preview that at the end of the year. And then because the SEC, which Kentucky is a member of, decided to play a conference only schedule for 2020, this game was canceled in 2020. But the rivalry will continue until at least 2030, with Kentucky hosting in even years and Louisville hosting in odd years. But it sounds like it's, even with realignment and everything, they'll probably find a way to.
That's
play
being talked about right now. They're saying that with the new SEC guests, that they're wondering if the series is going to continue.
So I really hope that when this realignment's done, because we got some really bad news that Bedlam's probably dead.
Yeah, that really.
I love this realignment. That blows. Like, this was the first time that it was like, this sucks. I really hope, and I know there's been a lot of talk about which conferences are going to do 8 to 9 conference games and what that means for the non-conference. I really hope that they do force some Power 5 non-conference game. And I hope because of that, some of these rivalries just make sense to stay. But I guess we'll see.
Yeah, I hope so too.
So why don't we get into a little bit? So we do this segment, Jimmy, and as you've listened, that when it's an in-state rivalry, we got to hit that state a little history trivia. So we're going to put you to the test here. You might be a Virginia-born kid, but this is you spent 6 years in Louisville. So we're going to see how you guys do here with some 5 trivia questions pertaining to the state of Kentucky.
Let's do it.
All right. I lobbed a softball here for you guys, this first one. So what is the state's nickname?
Do we just say it out?
Yeah, you can say it. Mike, do you know the answer?
Is it like the Bourbon State?
Absolutely not.
Okay,
I wish it was.
Go ahead, Jimmy.
What color is the grass, Mike?
Bluegrass.
There you go.
There it is. It is the Bluegrass State. And believe it or not, the bluegrass is actually green, but it does produce blue-purple buds that appear blue when you see them in a large field.
Lovely.
It is very lovely, especially if there's horses around.
There you go. Especially if there's horses. What is the state bird? Is it A, the cardinal, B,
the cardinal,
the meadowlark,
cardinal,
C, the brown thrasher, or D, the mockingbird?
Cardinal.
Oh, I've got 4 choices.
Yeah. All right. Mike goes with A, the cardinal. Jimmy?
Hey, let's go with the Cardinals, baby.
I mean, listen, if Louisville's the Cardinals and that's not the state bird, like, what are we doing here?
It's not a Wildcat, I can tell you that.
What is a elephant the state animal in Alabama? It doesn't
No,
necessarily-
there's a reason behind that though. It's because the offensive line, they were
Elephant in
coming
the
out of the
room.
state. All right, well, fuck off then. All right, pal.
Hey, we will get to that when we get to the Iron Bowl, the last game of the year.
I
Son.
can talk all about it. So,
I
all
can
right,
talk all
fine.
about it. Yes, it is the Cardinal, and it just hit me like shamefully that was a very easy question because of the Cardinals.
That was the layup. I thought that was the easy one.
I just realized now. I mean, I didn't think about it at the moment when I put this together, but yeah.
Hey, that's okay.
It gets harder.
I'll take lobs here.
So, Jimmy, you might know this, so hold off on your answer. Let Mike answer first.
Okay.
So, Lexington is home of the world's largest what factory? Is it A, peanut butter, B, chocolate, C, marshmallow, or D, English muffin?
I know the answer.
You do?
If Jimmy does. Yeah, pretty sure.
Jimmy, do you know the answer?
Can you say it again?
So Lexington is home of the largest what factory in the world? Is it A, peanut butter, B, chocolate, C, marshmallow, or D, English muffin?
Is it peanut butter?
Mike,
Wait, hold
what's
on.
your answer?
The Jif peanut butter is made in Lexington, Kentucky.
Very
so,
good. I'm surprised.
Oh.
How did you know that?
I don't know, man. I got a lot of this is a big brain.
That was a
all right?
process of elimination. answer right
Lexington is home to the Jif peanut butter production plant, which produces 5 different variations of peanut butter. Not only this, but it is also the largest peanut butter plant in the entire world. Good on you, Mike.
there.
I knew it was made there, so I mean yeah.
Wow. There you go. All right, guys. Which holiday originated in Kentucky? Is it A, Father's Day, B, Mother's Day, C, Veterans Day, or D, Columbus Day?
I definitely don't know the answer to this one.
I know this one too. No,
Oh,
I
wow.
actually don't.
I was gonna say,
I have no
damn,
idea.
are you sure you're
What
not a
are they
Kentuckian?
again? Hold on. It's
Father's,
Day,
mother's,
Day,
veteran.
In
Father's,
Columbus
mother's,
Day.
veteran in
Columbus.
Columbus. You want to say it at the same time? Because I'm just going.
Well, I mean, I have no idea what you're gonna say, pal. I really don't know.
Oh, no. I was just saying our random answers that we're going to give because we both.
Okay,
go ahead.
yeah, at the same time.
Yeah. 3, 2, 1.
Father's Day.
Look at that. You both are incorrect.
Ugh.
Fuck.
It is Mother's Day.
Ah.
So the creator of this holiday was Miss Mary Tolles Sassine, who was a school teacher in Henderson, Kentucky. She held a Mother's Day celebration on April 20th, 1887, which was her mother's birthday. So as a teacher, she envisioned that Mother's Day would be celebrated primarily by children in schools. And since her first celebration, however, the holiday has gradually increased in popularity, obviously drawing into the entire family. And then in 1893, she even published a 32-page pamphlet entitled Mother's Day Celebration, which laid out her vision for the holiday. As she wrote, in quotations, in the hope of awakening on the part of the child a deeper appreciation of her, who is the central figure of the home, that it may strengthen the family bonds, making them more beautiful and tender, that it may breathe a hope of that future where language is music, thought is light, and love is law.
That never had heard of that. So thank you for
There you go.
making
Mother's
me more
Day,
knowledgeable.
originating in Kentucky. All right, last one.
Beautiful holiday.
Beautiful holiday. How many states does Kentucky border? Is it A, 3, B, 5, C, 6, or D, 7?
So it's 5, 6, 7 are the last 3.
Yes, 3, 5, 6, 7.
It's definitely one of those.
Don't look at your phone, Jimmy.
This is me
Okay,
using my
good,
fingers to count
good.
right here. So, Mike, are you gonna get? Oh, you're counting it out too. Okay. I'll put my fingers up higher.
I'll
put my fingers up higher.
All right. I think it's 6.
Okay, Mike.
I've got
before you give out the answer, EJ, me and Michael are gonna go through them.
So, so Tennessee,
Virginia,
Virginia,
Ohio.
What about the Carolinas?
No.
No.
We need to get southwest. This is Missouri.
All right, that's a maybe. What about Indiana?
Yeah, Indiana for sure. Sorry.
Yeah.
I wasn't thinking north, right?
All
Like
right,
the
so-
southeast is. I think it might be
Ohio,
5.
Indiana,
Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, Virginia.
Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, Virginia.
Wait, no. Oh, Illinois, no. I'm
Or
sorry.
no, Tennessee.
Tennessee is what I meant. Yes, sorry.
Yeah, Tennessee. So that's 4.
It might be just 5.
No, there's no.
All right, just go. We're gonna this podcast. I'm making it last too long. I'm sorry.
All right. Lucky number 7. Let's go with it, baby.
It is 7.
Oh, can you name them, please?
Yes, Illinois,
Oh, it was Illinois. Okay.
Indiana,
Mm-hmm.
Ohio, West Virginia,
Oh, West Virginia does.
West Virginia.
Virginia,
Mhm.
Tennessee, and Missouri.
Oh, that's
Missouri,
when I
there you go.
said.
So you guys were really, the West Virginia was the only one you hadn't named, but you second guessed yourself on some of the other ones.
Yeah. Sorry.
There you go, guys. Way to go. You guys did a lot better on that than I thought you would. Mike pulling out the Jif
Jif
factory.
peanut butter. Man.
I said
love
peanut butter.
peanut butter.
I said
Yeah,
first.
Yeah, you
yeah,
did.
Oh yeah. I knew
You
it was
knew
Jif.
it. You knew it. I didn't know
I
specific.
love Jif peanut butter. I
To be
love
f-
peanut butter in general.
To be fair, it is in Lexington, and we know, Jimmy just doesn't go to that side of town, right? He stays on his side of town. He doesn't go down.
Stay on my side, right? Yep.
All right, so now we're to the trophy. Mike, go ahead, scroll. Tell us what you think.
All right.
Describe this bad boy.
Wow.
Not what you thought.
No.
Remember,
okay.
1912. All right, 1912.
Ooh. Well, but this trophy started in the 90s, right?
Oh wait, yeah, they
Yeah.
That's right.
yeah.
They
94.
didn't give it. So did they not give a trophy from? Okay.
No, in those first like 7 matchups or whatever. Now,
Okay.
Okay. So, gosh, I mean, okay. So I have to describe the trophy to the folks that are listening. It's hard to describe, honestly, because, all right, so we get a black base that has a gold band around it. And then like the old timey, like script lettering, we have the Governor's Cup with a U of L, and then like Kentucky's shit bold print logo.
Yeah.
But the nice script U of L. And then we've got like there's a black rod up the center. That's what she said. With 4 like clear, like futuristic looking like rods on the outside that are those light up. That's
a little smaller, not as big as the black rod, right? They're a little wider,
a little bit less girthy, equal length, less girthy. Not for me, but anyways. And then at the top, so the rods go up to a platform, and there are 4 golden football players in a 3-point stance, and on their back, like Atlas holding up the world, is a golden cup.
I
And
sent
this
another one.
thing-
I think I know which one you're looking at. Does at least the one I sent you in that text? It looks a little bit better with like the pristine gold on it, and it's
Yeah,
just
that's-
weird.
That's the first
that's
picture.
the one. That's,
Yeah.
that's
So
the first
listeners,
picture
Jimmy
EJ's
doesn't
sharing.
have our show notes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, you're good. No, that's
No,
that's one of the better pictures.
That's the like that looks. It looks so good. Like
Yeah.
it, like the 4 football players holding up the cup. Like oh my gosh, this
That's
is a
pretty
really
cool,
nice
right?
trophy. Yeah, and it's sizable too. Like if people here know, I like a sizable trophy. I mean, it is like, I would say the size of like from the waist to the head of like a human being. So of a football player. of a football player human being. So
Yes.
yeah.
Well, I don't get why the tubes, the other 4 tubes or whatever you want to call them, why they look like plasticky. Like that could have been gold too.
Yeah.
You know, I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Definitely a
Well,
unique
it
choice
looks
there.
in the first picture, it looks really good. Like with the light streaming through them.
Yes, it does. But
or the picture you sent, the picture,
Yeah.
which is the first picture I see, it looks really cool. I see what you mean though, like, because there's other pictures here, Jimmy. Well, fuck, Zoom can share screen, so I'm gonna share screen.
I guess
so
I could have
like
been
these
doing this.
pictures,
yeah,
you know, it doesn't look as good whenever,
yeah, in the daytime, yeah, no,
yeah.
It sparkles,
And like
you
that
know?
picture looks like shit, but
yeah,
like,
no, that's the one I thought you were describing. That's why I was like, dude, let me show
buddy.
you. Yeah,
No, it's this guy.
Yeah.
Oh
That
my
looks.
God.
I just need bourbon on there somewhere though. So
Yeah.
You and me both.
In the
brother.
bowl?
Yeah, I was thinking either in the bowl or like, what if they made those stupid plastic tubes just like different bottles of bourbon on the side?
Sweet, yeah.
All I have in here now is just muddled fucking mint, and it might be good enough for Teddy, but
I will say, Mike, you might roll your eyes at me. I'm not sure,
I
Jimmy,
do every day, pal.
how connected you are to this, but that at the top, when you have the football players in the 3-point stance with the bowl on their backs, I mean, I can't be too mad at myself for my mind to go here because it's been drilled in my head since I've met my wife 12 years ago. Is that reminds me of Harry Potter and the Ministry of Magic once Voldemort takes over and they walk in, Ron and Hermione and Harry, when, you know, their polyjuice potion, I guess, that would have been the 6th movie. And they get to the center of the Ministry of Magic and they look at the art piece, and there's people, like statues of people holding up this big solid cement piece, and they're like, oh my gosh, are those muggles? And, you know, because they, you know, the evil people, you know, killed the muggles, made them do it. So that's just, it was like the first thing I thought of, because it doesn't look quite like a 3-point stance. It looks more, I don't know, yeah, like they're forced to have to hold that up, so against their will.
I'm a little outside of the Harry Potter world,
Yeah.
but if you do get that visual, and I know you're a sports guy, that does make me frown upon the fact of this bowl. So yeah, it looks like it's a little bit of a half-assed 3-point stance. Like I'm pretty sure he might be a long snapper that may be like finally getting a hold of the ball to like place it in the center. I'm not sure, but he's definitely not ready to make a football type play.
Or like the pass catching tight ends that like are forced to go into a 3-point stance and they don't really do it well. You know, like Kelsey, like trying to be in a 3-point stance, like his ass is like, nah, just let me stand up and go out and catch balls.
I mean, nowadays you have to, like, most guys are up in their stance anyways, because they want you, you know, you have to react so fast to like these Terminators that are coming off the edge. So I guess I get it.
Okay, so there really wasn't much said online about like why the Governor's Cup. I assume it probably had something to do with the governor at the time that maybe proposed it. Or
I was trying to help you out with that too. I did not understand that. Yeah.
No, there's nothing there, or why they ultimately decided to make it a trophy game. Maybe just as a renewed, like, fun thing because it had been so long. I will say, though, I did find something that, Jimmy, you're probably going to be aware of, but this is the first time I saw a rivalry that we've talked about that has like an MVP award for the game. So
yeah, they recently added that, I feel like.
2010. So it's called the Howard Schnellenberger Award. I hope.
Do you know who he is?
I have it in my notes here. So it was the 2010 game was the inaugural year for this award, and it is awarded to the most valuable player on the winning team by the Louisville Sports Commission, and it is named for Howard Schnellenberger, who played under Bear Bryant, which we talked about earlier, and how Bear Bryant had a similar beef with was it Adolph Rupp about being a basketball school, and that's why he left and ultimately went to Alabama and was successful. So you should actually be happy about that,
Yes,
because otherwise Bear would have stayed there. And
thank you for stating that. I appreciate it.
and then Schnellenberger played for Bear Bryant, but then was Louisville's head coach in the modern football rivalry. So obviously you're aware of that.
Yeah, he's a big named football coach in Louisville history, probably the biggest. And I believe the facility that we were talking about, athletic facility for the football players, I believe it is named after him. So he's obviously a staple of Louisville, but he did play. And I did see he started out his coaching career. I believe he was like the tight end offensive line coach for Kentucky when he started his coaching, which makes sense if he obviously played there. So,
yeah. So here's a good question for you. Can you name, so you talked about that stretch of 5 of wins. Can you name the award winners for those games?
I did. I feel like I looked at this. So
there's 4 players.
I love the preparedness.
Lamar is, I think, 2 of them, correct?
No, he is 1 though.
He is 1. Okay.
Whoa.
Yes.
Oh, you need to guess 2? I'm sorry.
No. EJ's wrong. Lamar won it twice, not during the stretch that.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I was talking about the stretch here.
Oh, okay.
The 5.
Well, be clear about
okay,
it,
sorry. I'm sorry.
mean,
Yes, Lamar has won it twice, but there was a year in between his 2.
So you're talking about all Louisville people that have won this?
5 in a row.
No.
Just the 5 in that stretch from 2011 to 2015. Okay. There were 4 winners. So one of them was Lamar.
I assume Teddy Bridgewater had to be 1.
He was 2 of them.
Oh, 2. Okay, so there you go.
There's
2 more.
Yeah.
So here, let's help out. So for the 5-year stretch that you guys won, so 2012 and 2013 were Teddy. 2015 was Lamar.
So I'm looking for 2014 and 2011. So before Teddy.
And I will say, as a not a fan of either school, I know one of them. Everyone knows one of them.
Everyone knows one of them,
and no one knows the other one.
We can give you more hints if you want.
Okay,
but
no, yeah. So is the one that is that the 2011 one?
2014.
No.
Okay. Yep. 2014 must be. If everybody knows, and it's not Lamar and it's not Teddy. Is it
offensive player? Not a quarterback.
He was there.
Yeah, well, no, I knew it. I would go offense. It's not Harry Douglas, is it?
No.
He's not 2011, is he?
Nope.
Okay, that's too early, I believe. Is it? Holy crap! Okay, hold on. I'm trying to remember my people here.
Give him. Let him. Come on, let him.
It's not. Why is it wide receiver?
Yes.
Okay, hold on.
In 2014.
Dang. It's not Tutu Atwell. It's
way more famous.
Way more famous than Tutu Atwell.
Way more famous.
Should be on a fantasy team right now.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, you're making me look dumb because I'm completely blanking on who I should.
Do you want me to say who he
just
has
go ahead,
played for?
Please. No,
Devontae Parker.
Oh, duh. Okay, I was thinking about Teddy's guy for some reason, and I can't even think of his dang name.
All right, 2011, it was a defensive player.
Okay,
and he was a linebacker. We'll give you that.
Was it Preston Smith?
No, I've never heard of this guy. He had 12 tackles and 1 forced fumble in that game.
If it's not Preston Smith, I'm not going to know it. Go ahead, give it to
Dexter Heyman.
Okay. Yeah, I would have never got that. Dang, I feel bad about the Devontae Parker.
And he's going to feel bad too. He's a long-time listener. So he's gonna be like, what the hell?
I will say, though, looking at this list from 2010, like obviously everyone's aware of Bridgewater and Parker and Jackson. I was surprised to not know any of these Kentucky people. And maybe that's just as an SEC fan.
No Bud Dupree.
No quarterback.
No Bay Snell football.
The one that I looked at this briefly, and the quarterback for Kentucky, I think the year before the 5-year run. Who's the winner before the year before the 5-year run?
Running
Derek
back.
Locke.
Yeah, Locke. Was he's a running back?
Yeah,
it might have been
23
a year
carries,
before
104
him.
yards, 2 touchdowns, 3 receptions for 21 yards, a kickoff return for 23 yards.
Yeah.
So.
There's also a quarterback in there.
Steven
so
Johnson.
So you have Will Levis was the most recent one. And then
Mm-hmm.
you had 3 other quarterbacks were the winners for Kentucky. 3 separate quarterbacks.
Name those quarterbacks for me.
Lynn
Stephen
Bowden.
Johnson. Okay.
Okay.
Lynn
Good.
Bowden.
Yeah.
Lynn Bowden, Terry Wilson, and Stephen Johnson.
What the fuck is this picture?
That's the trophy.
Hold on.
So Lynn Bowden will always remember that game because that's how he got
Hold on. Is this like a motherfucking sales team, like big hitter award? Like what the like sales guys and girls get a baseball bat for a big hitter award? What the fuck is this?
Joe has a bat from his company.
This stinks. This stinks out loud.
Well,
this is football.
You knew it had to be
a Louisville Slugger.
It stinks.
I would agree. That's probably not the award I would go to, but
I will say though,
go to bottle of bourbon.
Yes, which you can't do.
Why not?
Because not all these kids are going to be 21.
Well, to me, the Louisville Slugger gives no like Kentucky in it. Like that's Louisville to me. Like, how does that have to do anything with
I will say
great
from
point, Jimmy. Great point.
It is, but from an outside perspective, like when I think of Louisville Sluggers, it can be there's only one place, right? And that's Louisville is in Kentucky as a whole state. But yes, it
give them a
probably
jar
looks
of
very
fucking
one-sided.
Jif peanut butter.
No, yeah. If Kentucky guys win it, they get peanut butter.
Yeah.
We win.
I will say I appreciate
when
that.
you guys win, you get like a Waffle House gift card or something like that. I don't know.
I do like how it is red when it is a Louisville player and it's white when it's not.
Is
so
that-
I kind of like.
Oh yeah.
I like the little variance there.
Yeah. So yeah, this award is new and like it is. I swear the guy's statistics, no matter what position it is, of course, Devontae Parker goes a little bit against it, but I feel like every quarterback that has won this award has put up ridiculous rushing numbers. Like even I'm looking at Terry Wilson, who won it in 2018. He had 10 carries for 79 yards and a touchdown. Like it's just like all kind. Oh yeah, you have it up here too. Lynn Bowden, he was a.
He didn't even throw the ball.
Holy
What
shit.
happened that game? Jesus.
1 for 2 with 4 yards.
They just laughed at you and went, "We're not
that
going
was-
to pass the ball."
So he was a wide receiver, and their starting quarterback got hurt, and they put him in, and he was a freak athlete, and it was
and he
one
beat
of
you.
the more embarrassing losses. But yeah.
Oh, that's rough.
But do you see like Will Levis? Look at his freaking yards, and then
Yeah.
Lamar, of course.
Four touch. Oh my God.
Yeah,
All right, guys.
and he went like this every single time. But like even like Lamar in 2015 that you showed up here, he did not have a good game passing.
No.
The one before he ran 17 times for 186 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
It's just like, and Steven Johnson 8 carries for 83 yards. It just turns this game into like a all out shit show.
Well, that's a pretty good passing stat line there.
Oh yeah.
16 for 3 and 3 touchdowns.
Guys, I think I unlocked how to win this game. Just stop the running quarterback from the opposite team.
Well,
That's a good
this
place to
year
start,
Will
right?
Levis is back again, so we'll see how that turns out.
And your boy can run too, right?
Yeah, Malik Cunningham.
Yeah, that dude's a runner too. Shit.
We'll definitely be the underdog for that game when we
All
talk
right, now
about
I'm
that.
gonna pay attention to that. I gotta see that the winners final. Actually, I want to see both winners and losers final like rushing line.
I
for
would
the
bet the
quarterback.
over if I'm betting that game. Just saying, I don't know what it's gonna be, but you'll have to have me on to talk about it. I mean, I'm just gonna say I think I should be on for it.
Done.
Let's do it. It's actually going to be it's the last week, and that game or that week we're gonna have a lot to preview. But the trophy we're gonna talk about is the Iron Bowl because they actually do have a trophy.
And I would love to just listen to Mike just go off. So
Yes, and I will try.
Honestly, I feel like I have more to say. I mean, Auburn is what it is, but Tennessee, if we ever talk about Alabama, Tennessee, I hope y'all got a long time because I got a long time.
So you loved game day this last week.
Yeah, it was a
Good
struggle.
old
Just so
Rocky
much
Top.
fucking orange, man. Like, gosh darn.
Yeah.
It's ugly. It is an ugly color.
Yeah, well,
Stupid
but
checkerboard pattern.
I appreciate you guys even talking about this rivalry again. We're known as a basketball kind of school thing, and I think the athletes are picking up between both teams, and Louisville's figuring out the NIL, so I feel like they're going to have some good players coming in here soon to continue this.
As
for
in
you guys.
just throwing boatloads of money at the number one running back in the nation.
Number one running
Jimbo
back in the
Fisher
nation. Why wouldn't he come to Louisville? Well, it makes sense, right?
Right. So just I had mentioned earlier, this game will be played on the last weekend of the year during Rivalry Weekend, which we will preview and cover when we get to that episode. So that's going to do it for us here. So why don't we get to our rankings? So just a reminder here, we rank on a scale from 1 to 5 on the looks of the trophy, the history of the trophy, the history of the rivalry, and the overall competitiveness of the rivalry. And then overall, do we put it in a bottom tier, middle tier, or top tier? So Mike, what do you think?
On.
Pulling
Go to
up.
me next. I need to update the Excel.
Jimmy, I want to know, like, what do you think? So you've listened to our Big Ten stuff, you've listened to our SEC stuff. So what are your rankings here? So on a scale from 1 to 5, looks.
Okay, so for looks, I would give it. I don't know how you guys are with decimal points, but like I'm somewhere between a 2.5 and a 3, so I would say like a 2.75. I don't know if that makes sense. If that's too specific,
I'll bump you up to a 3 because I think that's fucking ridiculous. Anyways, go ahead.
I'm trying to not be Homer. I think
do it, dude. Do it.
it.
It's a good fucking. Give it a 5. Give it a 5.
I will give it at least a 3 on the looks.
Okay.
I think there are better ones. I think when we talk about things like even Louisville, Cincinnati, I would go Keg of Nails a lot further up because that is just kind of sick. There's not like a whole lot to look at this trophy besides, I understand the rivalry behind it. I can see a normal college football fan and looking at it and be like, okay, there's a few football players on there and stuff. So I'll give it a 3. I will bump up from a 2.5. So I think it's a clean looking trophy. It's got, it's football in it. I like the players on it, even though they're not, maybe if they looked a little more badass or like they were going to make a play, maybe a little higher. So I'll go 3.
All right.
You like to have a football ready stance. I get it.
The history of the trophy on a scale from 1 to 5.
Back to me.
Yes.
Okay. Because it took such a long, it like lost its history for such a long period of time, and the history of before it meant nothing. I would give it a low score, but because Louisville's winning the series, I'm going to go back a little bit higher from the modern day aspect of this, and I'll keep it at I'll go 2.5.
Okay. And the rivalry overall?
The rivalry overall, I'm going to give it a 3.5. 3.5.
Okay.
In terms of all college football rivalries, I'm going to go 3.5.
Okay. And then the competitiveness overall of the rivalry?
Competitive overall, the rivalry is going to be a 4.5. It's hated.
And then where do you rank this? Like at a bottom tier, middle tier, or top tier?
Okay, and don't make me sound too lame again here with my 2.75. Excuse me. I would say it is lower middle tier.
Okay.
Lower middle tier. So it's not low.
We have done that. Yeah, we've done that.
Yeah, so it's middle tier, but like the lower part of the middle tier,
Sure. All right, Mike, what do you think?
So, all right. So Jimmy, I was aghast at your ranking on the looks of the trophy because honestly, I think you're underselling it. Like I understand you want to come on here as a homer, but dude, like the Governor's Cup and the nice script, like the gold. Like there's so many trophies that I feel like just don't have a lot of like thought into it of like let's make this a really nice fucking trophy.
Mhm.
And this one has it. Like the script on the Governor's Cup. I mean, the dude's holding up the cup like it's Atlas holding up the world. Like forget the fact that they're not in a football race stance. Like I think it looks great. The only thing, something you pointed out earlier. If those bars were gold, I think it would help it a lot.
It is a 4 or 5. Yes.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go with a 4. Like I really do like the trophy, and for me, like size is also big. That thing seems heavy. Like I'm not seeing any pictures where one guy's just holding it up. So it seems heavy, seems big. You know, I do like that you have the 4 pill, even though they are that clear plastic. Like you're still like have a bunch of people holding it up. So
That's
I
a
like
good
it
point.
quite a bit. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. History of the trophy itself, I'm gonna give it like a 1.5, just because like I don't really understand why they did this. And EJ, maybe it's just shitty research on your part. I mean, but like why did this come about? Why is it the way it is? I think it's awesome, but like why did it happen? And there's not like a lot of theft, like Jimmy, if you listen long enough, like I need some theft in here. I need like some previous versions that are maybe slightly racist. I need something here for the history. So I'm gonna say it's a 1.5. Rivalry itself, I am gonna say, seems like I like that you guys don't wear blue. The whole, I'm not gonna do it, but when they invert your symbol, like
Thank you.
that adds something to it. Yeah,
means a lot.
no
I appreciate that.
Yeah, we're only Hookham here, so I understand. So I'm gonna say let's do a 3 for the rivalry itself, and the competitiveness. I mean, I think I'm gonna say it's a 4. Like that's really like these programs are thought of as basketball schools, I think incorrectly, because I do think you get a lot of good games out of Louisville and Kentucky, and Louisville and Kentucky. And I think,
we had a Heisman Trophy winner. Come on.
Yeah. Hell yeah, you do. I hate them with all my guts, but yeah, you sure got one. And I'm going to say for that reason that yeah, it is what it is, pal.
I had to think about that for a second.
yeah. I'm gonna give it a mid-tier. Mid-tier. I really like this trophy a lot, and it was awesome. Like just hearing about the rivalry from you. Maybe I'm a little bit like first like blush of love with this type of thing. Like hearing you talk about it and everything, but it's great, man. It's awesome. So mid-tier. EJ.
Yes. So for looks, I think I feel like I've kind of found my almost like pizza review hard lines, and in order to get to a 4, you got to be more than just a trophy. But that being said, if this is when it comes to just trophy-ish, it's 3 would be you're just a good looking plain trophy. And so I think it's a step above that, but without being like super, super unique. So I'm going to put 3.5 there for looks. The history, which is not my fault. I'm sure there's a great history that he doesn't even know, and
they don't
isn't
explain
open source. Right. So there's no open source. So it's got to be a 1. There's just no explanation on why it is what it is. So 1 there. The rivalry, I would say, it's in state, so I feel like that automatically starts me at a 3 because and it was good to have Jimmy on here to really feel the vitriol there. So I put it at a 3.5 because, and again, this just might be.
I was polite, EJ. It is freaking Michigan State. Okay, it's Michigan State, dude. Just put that in your head. It is the same thing. I hate them as much as you hate the freaking whatever their stadium's called, the big house.
The big house.
Yeah.
Ann Arbor's a whore.
Give me a 4.
Sorry,
give me a 4 then.
You swung it.
That's what I needed to hear though, because that's why it's not a 5, because I didn't find.
I'm gonna swing out the half
source.
point too. Give me 3.5.
So I'm going to go 4, and it's because I didn't find a lot of stealing or vandalizing each other's campuses, which could happen. It's I can only find so much online, but that's why I really needed you to paint that picture of how much you hated Kentucky. So
we don't have to vandalize their school, because anytime they beat a decent program, they turn their cars over and light them on fire, or light mattresses on fire for some reason. So
that's what I needed to hear.
Too close to West Virginia.
Michigan State does that too. They're really bad about burning couches for some reason. Yeah, I know, it's the stupidest thing. But all right, so rivalry is a 4 for me, and then competitiveness, it's a 4.5. I mean, this is a pretty damn close series. Like, they obviously haven't played too often, right? only really since '94. But it's I feel like a coin toss every year. So 4.5. So this is going to be a solid mid for me. Mid tier, solid mid. It's an in-state rival. I love it. And I do love that there has been great players for the football teams to shine light on that when, nationally it's seen as a basketball rivalry.
No, I agree. I think if those players, like, again, I didn't want to be homerish, so I went on the low end on a lot of things, and Mike told me not to do that. But I think
be true to yourself.
Without the players, I don't think this thing would have ever, like, on both sides of the spectrum. Yeah. Cobb, Lynn, and all those guys, and then Louisville has Teddy and Lamar. I think it's really helped things out.
Yeah. I mean, otherwise you turn into like an Illinois Northwestern or like a Purdue Indiana, right? Where in football, without hogs, like, you could be an in-state rival that hate each other, maybe coming out of basketball where there were stars, but having even a star on a team for that 4 years, and then having another star on the other team or whatever it may be, right? Like, that definitely makes it better, makes it competitive.
Great comparison with Indiana, Illinois, 100%. It would be like that.
Right. Okay, so that's going to do it for us this week. Follow us on Instagram at whiskers.whiskies, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Also, don't forget to check out our bets on Saturday morning. Please send us your favorite bets. You aren't going to start at the same spot as me anymore, thank goodness, but you are not too far out of it to catch Mike, who is in the lead. And like I said, if you do beat all 3 of the Whisker and Whiskies boys, you will get a customized item.
If you beat Jimmy this weekend, he'll take a shot of bourbon for you. So that's a special promo.
I'll make that promo every day of the week, twice on Sundays.
So join us next week when we talk about the Deep South's oldest rivalry. So, Mike, I'm EJ. Always remember, too much of anything is bad. Too much good whiskey is barely enough.